Hi, and I am very excited to introduce to you Arun. He is an Iyengar master. We had the pleasure today, this morning, to practice with him privately, which is amazing. And without any further ado, I will just ask Arun, how did you start yoga?
Yeah. So in the 1974, in the year 1974, I was little asthma, bronchial asthma, and wheezing, plus allergy complaints. So I was asked from one of my senior, accountant, to start yoga. I said, I don't know yoga. Then he said, go to his institution where the teacher will help you. So then I went to the institution. They asked me to come back after 3 months because they already started a course. Then I went back and I started doing yoga. So by practicing that type of yoga practice, my asthma was cured in 4 months. And of course, it was not an Iyengar yoga at that time. I was waiting, I think, things to happen. I think that I took Iyengar yoga maybe in the year 1978. So that's one of the beginning.
So 1974.
Yeah.
First of all, what were you doing at the time for work?
I was like a CPA working for a company. So I was just into CPA. Then my senior said, I can't do yoga for my allergy complaints. That's why I joined an institution where they used to teach a mix of like Kundalini and Hatha, and then everything was there, like breathing, Kapalabhatis, all those things were there to learn.
Right.
So in 3 months, I gave a 3 months course, and then I was good in it. And the teacher, his name was Janki Raman. So he introduced me to the public, saying that I want to make Arun a yoga star in the universe. So that inspired me to continue.
Wow. So now, at that time, in Bangalore?
Yeah, it was in Bangalore.
Was there other Iyengar studios?
We never had any Iyengar yoga studio in Bangalore. There was one senior teacher, so who was very friendly, very compassionate to teach us Iyengar yoga in 1977, 76, 77, yeah.
Okay.
He taught us that. Then immediately I switched from the Hatha or Kundalini to Iyengar yoga. Yeah.
So you see the little Kundalini.
Yeah, it's a combination.
Oh, good.
There's a
Because
combination.
there's not a lot of Kundalini here, is there? It doesn't seem like there's a lot of Kundalini yoga.
We never used to call as Kundalini. It's just a yoga. Even now we call it yoga. But it's a combination of everything, like chanting, doing all those Kapalabhati, Bhastrika movement, cleansing, sun salutations. Everything was included. So that's why. Then of late we came to know, because more on chakras, concentrating on chakras, doing meditation on chakras. So then we know that is we are part of Kundalini. Yeah.
Well, in the United States, it's this is Kundalini, this is Hatha.
Yeah, branding it. Yeah.
Nam Yoga, a man named Guru Nam.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah.
I was working at Nam Yoga for a while, and very wonderful man. And it's kind of like Kundalini, but people break out on their own and they kind of put their own stamp on certain styles.
Yeah.
Which I want to ask you a question. How do you feel about the fact that the Western movement of yoga is such a big business?
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on modern yoga? We have all kinds of stuff. We have booty ballet yoga. We have, power yoga. We have super hot power yoga. We have all different types of. What is your feeling on that, coming from a very traditional?
To be frank,
yes,
it is more. I don't say it's more commercial. I think it can be more professional. In India, I may not be so much professional. That's why we don't have much props here. Even if you look at my studio, we don't use sticky mats.
Right.
Not much props as typical thing. So we have what we need, basic need, like a chair, a brick, a bolster, a couple of ropes, all this thing, but not that type of sophisticated foam blocks or benches. We don't use that.
Right.
So props are used to improve our quality of practice. Many people think it's for a beginner, So as a practitioner, I say it even for the advanced student, so that helps you a lot to understand.
Right.
So the asana is not an exercise, is not a workout.
Right, right.
That's the basic thing. If you compare, as you mentioned, 20 varieties now, most of them, they take yoga as an exercise, as a workout to burn the calories. In yoga, we don't have a concept of what you call burning calories.
Right.
Or a workout is working in is yoga. We use asana to working in, to feel ourself. Self is soul. To feel ourself, we do asanas. We don't have burning calories because yogi doesn't eat all the time. No energy bar, no energy drinks. They don't exercise. The simple reason is because there's a vicious cycle. People eat, they exercise. Eat, exercise. Eat, exercise. One morning you get up, then go for walk, then eat. Then come to yoga class, do morning class, a light vinyasa, then eat. Then do ashtanga, eat. Whole day they are on physical regime, eating and exercising. The whole energy is wasted there by eating and doing exercise. So if you observe any yoga practitioner in good olden days, if you see them, it is always sitting in a posture, maybe 3 or 4 poses, not more than that. So asana is to hold the energy, to preserve the energy, because energy seeps through the extremities from fingers, toes and eyes. That's why yogis always hold the pose. It's like an orbit. It goes on circulating. If the circuit breaks, the energy seeps. That's why we always close the eyes in our practice. We block the energy by using props. For example, if you are doing a triangle pose, if you are using a block for the hand, there we block the energy from seeping. It doesn't leak at all. So move the energy up. Again, as an angle T, we say, pull your kneecap. Why we have to shout? So that the knee is lifted properly, the energy doesn't seep. We press the toes properly, we press the palm properly, we pull the kneecap properly, we lift the chest. Everywhere, the energy is holded. So we don't need the burning calories.
Right.
So there's no energy leak. So we always try to hold the energy. That's why we feel always strong in our practice.
One thing I did find out that there's some of my students that started, say with this commercial type yoga, they ended up becoming more involved in the subtle body and working from the inside out. And they might have never, ever even found yoga because they were the type of person that would never walk into a yoga studio, maybe feel intimidated, but they found it through a gym. So sometimes I think, okay, if that happens. But there's so many people that have injuries. You see this. Someone will say to you, I've practiced for 10 years,
Yes.
and then you look at, and they can't even do a chaturanga properly. So that's the only thing that I think, it's probably hard on you to see that.
Yeah, that's true. So that's why I usually go teach the people, especially in teaching abroad, where they have learned the popular style, which we call is Iyengar yoga. For them, it helps a lot. So many times I say I don't teach. I stopped teaching from years. I just share what I practice. So if in morning I have a class, if I'm practicing, the thought goes to all the other classes. Little chant here and there, I don't repeat things. So even in abroad, I tell them, I can't become your teacher. The teaching is a responsibility. So you have to take the responsibility of a student, not to injure themselves.
Right.
So that's why but it's very funny for me. As a teacher, if you don't take a responsibility, then you're not a teacher. But traveling abroad, I see you get that warranty, not warranty, what is that? You take a signature from the student. If something happens,
Oh
it's
yeah,
only.
liability. Liability.
So then it's safe for a teacher to give whatever he wants.
Right.
But here, as a teacher, I had to take a responsibility to take care of my students so that they don't get injuries. And moreover, here I know them, what they do, what they practice. It will be very easy for me because I live here. I can see each and every day their physical body, how much they can understand what I'm teaching. So then my teaching is successful. I can reach them. If they don't understand, then my teaching is lost. I try to assist them, helping them to know what I'm doing. If they don't observe, if they don't understand, that's a way. For example, we have a couple of people. They are very good in their studies and then they're good in their professions. But when they come to class, if I say, for example, relax your facial muscle, release your shoulders in a forward bend, release your shoulders in a twist, they don't understand. They keep it like a rock, like a hard stone. It doesn't move. If I tell them, they don't understand. For me, is I show them, still it doesn't understand. It doesn't go to the head. So I call them body illiterates. The body doesn't understand. They're good. Everywhere they're good. But unfortunately, it doesn't go. Then it doesn't. That's why sometimes the props will help. But sometimes they take this prop as if I'm intimating them. They get offended. Oh, I can do on my own. I said, you can do on your own. But the body is not listening to you.
Right.
So you're not, from your mind, you're not able to control the body. So that's why we need these props to release, to relax. So that when you relax, you can work more. You can understand more. So these are all the things as a teacher I find a little difficult.
Well, taking the seat of a teacher is a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
I always say to new teachers, only teach what you know.
Exactly. So that's why many times, even I recently came out of the book. So I was mentioning, as an Iyengar teacher, our Guruji has said many times, what you know, you teach. If you don't know, don't even try to help them. For example, if I don't know Trikonasana, I can't ask my student, flexible body, to do Trikonasana or do like this. Forget about difficult postures like maybe Bakasana or maybe Urdhva Dhanasana. If I am injured, if I am not able to show, I should not use someone's body to do that. I may not teach that. Okay, what's that? I have to accept my weakness. We are very proud about our strength. So we feel bad about our weakness. So we accept the weakness. Okay, I'm not able to do Mayurasana. Okay, don't teach. It's not a must. There's no syllabus as such, oh, you have to teach this. No, not necessary.
Yeah.
It's not ethical to use someone's body.
I think it's kind of exciting that the Indian government just recently declared, or it was actually the UN.
Indian government proposed to make it a World International Yoga Day.
Yeah.
So the UN accepted. So it was last month.
So how does that make you feel after all these years of studying yoga?
I don't feel any excitement there. No. We have to see how it happens. Doing one day, assembling everyone, it's like a celebration.
Right.
That's
another
a celebration.
Reason to have some good food.
Maybe, but still it was there. I saw in a magazine and a newspaper, in New York every year they celebrate in the what you call Times Square.
Yeah.
They celebrate. Thousands of people come there and do asanas there. They do sun salutation there. I know that.
And now, how do you feel? I have a lot of my students will always say to me, "Is yoga a religion?" I have some people who are Christian or Jewish, and they'll say, "Oh no, that," and I always say, "No, it's a science, it's a philosophy, it's a space.
It's life. Yoga is beyond religion. Even to come to, because people think yoga is Hindu. Hindu is not a religion. It is Hinduism. If we practice certain things, it doesn't mean that it's a religion. So anyone can. We don't believe even in conversion, converting one religion to Hindu. No, we don't have that concept. So everyone can practice yoga. So even I face this same issues. So because people doesn't want to chant Om because they don't believe this. I said, yes, even I don't mean, first the moment I go to the studio owners, I ask them, how do you start? For example, when I saw you, before giving a class, I asked you, are people allergic to chanting Om? Any chance? You said, no. And then he said, it's your studio, you can do whatever you want. But still, I never gave another chanting, which is about praising the teacher or giving a salute to teacher Patanjali. So that's why what I did, just gave Om chanting of Om. So even Om, because it's very popular, Om is not for a beginner, as per Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. The Om is given only for a practitioner who has reached a super consciousness stage called Samadhi, where even for him, anytime the chitta, that is mind, consciousness, which concerns mind, intelligence, ego, it can move, it can split, it can wavering thought may come. So that's why Patanjali uses at the end, if nothing comes, use chanting. He doesn't say Om, he says chant Pranava. For us, it's called Pranava is Om. So if he gives many examples, many clues how to bring back the chitta to the focus. It can be a teacher's thought, it can be your good dreams. So yeah, it can be any pleasing object and subject. The moment you think of that object or a subject, immediately you can come deeper inside, you can focus inside. So that if nothing happens, or we can watch the breath. So at the end, he says, if nothing happens, chant pranama. So for an Indian mind, for example, it can catch certain mythological stories. The others may not be able to understand. For example, if you say a Ganesha, the whole mythological story comes to me. For a Westerner, Ganesha is an elephant-headed god. So we can't even think Hanuman as monkey. For me, it's Hanuman. Yeah. So monkey god, no. So that's why we don't use that for as a tool to teach. Right. So yoga is to study ourselves. Yoga is to study our consciousness. Yoga is to purify body, mind and speech. That's all the yoga. So those things is not necessary. Then you may ask why we chant Om. So last year I was in Texas in a studio. Again, the problem is we can't chant Om. I said yoga is to be done to become silent, to watch ourselves. The mind should not wander here and there. So the beginning should be with the silence. You can't be in silence for not even a minute. So that's why I use these things so that the mind doesn't wander anywhere. So it's like creating an atmosphere. So creating an atmosphere for a studio is not putting all our mythological gods on thing, burning instant sticks, burning lamp, no. So creating atmosphere is to be silent in self, within ourselves. That's why we use it. I use chanting not for religious purposes, to improve my exhalation. If I exhale, you may exhale for 4 seconds, 6 seconds, 8 seconds. If you chant Om, it may go to 12, 13, 14, 15 seconds. So that's why I use chanting. It may not be Om. If the people doesn't want to chant Om, I am not going to give that. But anyhow, I want a concept of chanting. That's why I use the English you use called vowels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use that. A, E, I, O, U. I use that just so that you can be calm yourself. The exhalation is important for everyone because we are born with exhalation. At the end, we die with exhalation. If you have done good karmas, good work, all the people around, they will cry with exhalation. And we laugh with exhalation. We talk with exhalation. Asanas are done with exhalation. So exhalation takes out pressure, high blood pressure, tension. So that's why I use exhalation more and more in our practices so that you can be quiet and calm. Inhalation is like an egoistic approach. Holding still, yeah. Like this, exhalation, you get the concept of surrender. We get the concept of understanding. That's why we use exhalation more. So those who can't do exhalation, then we break the breath. Instead of leaving breath deep one attempt, we take pause. We call exhalation by pauses. This type of chanting, A, E, I, O, U, or A, U, and Om, will give that effect. So we use chanting for breathing purposes. Can be Ujjayi, can be a Viloma, can be sometime Bhastrika, can be like a Kapalabhati, can be like a Brahmari. So these things we use only for that purposes, nothing to do with the Indian God. Even usually in the studios, I chant about Patanjali because Patanjali is grand master, a teacher who gave yoga for us. So he gave other two parts. That is, one is to purify body called Ayurveda, to purify the speech, that is Vyakarana, that is grammar. The last one to purify the chitta, yoga. That's why we always mention him as he's our teacher. We do namaskar to Patanjali. So we don't use any of Indian mythology in teaching. No Shiva, Krishna, Rama, Ganesha. No, we don't use it because it's not for a Western mind.
And I think that is where the confusion is. People will think it's religion because you have teachers in the US reciting and chanting to different gods and this is what they need to hear. This is why I'm so glad you're saying this. And so it was great when you just said that, no, that's not the focus. And here you are, you're from the birthplace of yoga. You've been teaching 30 years. And this is why I came all the way to India to get this answer. So with that said, when you teach, you were saying something about BKS, how he came to the United States, and you said that he didn't even use Sanskrit.
Yeah, in the beginning, like when Ahimanian met Guruji, he got cured with his stiffness in shoulders and fingers. So he was invited by Ahimanian to travel European countries. When he first traveled there, his suitcase was checked to see if he has nails in his suitcase to sleep or to eat. So that is the concept those times. Mm-hmm. In yoga means, Hatha yoga means eating nails and sleeping on nails, all those things. And that's why he made asanas to reach everyone so that people can come to him. Mm-hmm. So that's why I never used any chanting. He started as if it is a calisthenic exercises. Mm-hmm. So then slowly he changed it. So even for him, those days were really hard to get even vegetarian food. Right. It's very difficult to get vegetarian. He suffered a lot while traveling. For us, it's wonderful. I travel everywhere, I get vegetarian food to live.
Right, right. So that's also too when he probably introduced and thought we need props because that does bring yoga to everyone.
Yeah.
We saw that in class today.
Yeah.
No one felt you can teach different levels in one class and people feel empowered. I always think that yoga is, my goal is to empower people.
Yeah.
And go to where they are.
Yes.
What is your favorite sutra? That's a huge question.
Yes, in my teaching or in my practice, I use only a couple of sutras for my practice.
Okay.
Because this was told by my guru, V.K. Sanger, yes. Like maybe around 5 years ago when I went to meet him. Arun, you have to practice in depth. D-E-P-T-H, depth. Uh-huh. So at that time, couldn't understand. So just thinking what he was saying, then I found out a practice in depth to refer some sutras in our practice. It can be Sthira Sukham Asanam. Mm-hmm. So it's not what you call then effortless effort. Yes. So Prayatna Shaitilya Ananta Samapatibhyam. So that's the thing. So that too I adopt in my practice. Mm-hmm. That's why I use chair. If you see my posture, even now if you have seen me, I told you in the class, you have to open your eyes. But for me, I can't open my eyes in my practice because I have to go deep into it. Do deep into the pore, deep into my own consciousness. So I had to reach. So with open eyes, I may have to see people around. So I may feel like giving instructions. So that's why I close my eyes in my practice so that I can go deep into it. So sthirata is stability. Stability in my posture. So when I go on doing a stability, when I have a stability, the effort is very less. There is no effort at all. The beginning, and a minute of effort, then it is an effortless effort. That's why I was mentioning, asana should be done as if it is, it has gone into your subconscious mind. Like for example, cycling or any driving. You drive learn for a few days, you are on the road. So why not asana? So that's why I use the word called asanastha. That is, be in an asana, not go on doing asana. So that usually we use in meditation. Dhyanastha. You are in dhyana. We say you are going to do dhyana. You are in it.
You're in it. Right?
You are in it. So you are in asana. Mm-hmm. So that's the concept for me to understand myself or to understand asana. Asana, there should not be muscle movement. No muscular movement. The muscle should not move. If the muscle move, is not an asana, it's a kriya, movement.
Right. Okay.
So that should end. The exercise part should end to get an asana. If yoga is called Chitta Vritti Nirodha, that is the first sutra, that is yoga for to clean. The vritti means movement, chitta is consciousness which has mind, intent, ego. If that is to stop all those movements or to regulate those movements, asana is done for that, to regulate the muscles, not to move the muscles. Not to move the muscles, just hold. That is an asana. The definition of asana is that. And then pranayama, it is not as a breathing exercise. We take breathing as a tool. Asana is a tool. Pranayama is also a tool to understand. So even there's a famous saying in pranayama in the text. So if you keep a talcum, any powder in front of the wrist, if you exhale, that should not move. So that should be the subtle exhalation.
Okay.
So that again, that doesn't become a physical exercise. People think asana, and that's why people call yogic exercises and breathing exercises. And meditation, I don't know how. Even in Sanskrit, we say that asanam kuryat, pranayame vinyoga, atha dhyanam. Now the dhyana happens. When dhyana doesn't happen, then we do that repetition, what we call japa.
Until dhyana happens.
If it doesn't happen,
Right.
then you use the chanting, or maybe any other thing, maybe om or maybe other things. But otherwise, we don't need even the chanting. The moment you think of it, it should happen. The moment you think of om, it should happen. The moment if you think of triangle pose, it should happen. Not go on doing it. So there should be a done pose. Then you are called as asanasta. You are in an asana. It can be anything. It can be trikonasana. It can be even a strong pose called bakasana. If you can reach that level. That's why I feel like when I do my pose, I feel like doing a meditation. To feel my body, I have to meditate.
Oh, that's perfect. I was going to ask you, well, I actually think driving in Bangalore, you would have to do a lot of asana after. I have never experienced anything.
That's right, because you are coming from abroad. So here local people, they know how to drive. Not much action in that sense. They know where to, even if there's a red signal, they know how to cross the road.
It's amazing. So they're in their,
They're already there.
They're in it. They're in their pose. So I was just going to ask you what you would like to see happen with the yoga community and world and as we move forward.
Yoga should be practiced, that's true, but not the repetition. Not doing the same every day. So there should be always change in your practice. When you practice, use your intelligence. Don't just follow teacher. Don't follow any religion. Be on your own for your practice. You need a private practice. That means, and I'm not saying you should not go to school. When you go to school, you learn. When you learn, it's not just learning from the teacher. Learning from his physical movement. Learning from his skill, how he teaches, how he observes. Yoga is to observe the teacher, fellow students, and yourself. Yoga is more of like observing a observatory. So there are so many stars and planets you observe. Even inside you have to see that. So first see the surrounding, then think, for example, if I ask someone to use an extra blanket, the teacher, I may say why I'm using it, but still you have to think, oh, why? Sometimes it's not safe. So sometimes you have to observe why my teacher gave this technique to me, not for others. And there are some blind following, just they follow the teacher, that should not happen. So to give an example, even me as a teacher, I was lifting my toes in all my standing poses. And I never knew, because I was taught in that way. And then when my Guruji I came to my inauguration of my studio, he saw me lifting my toes, all my students lifting toes. He asked, why are you lifting toes? There's no answer, because I learned like that. Then he gave an example, why lifting toes. So that's why we have to watch each and every person as a teacher, observe how is their alignment, how is the anatomical structure. You have to practice asana according to anatomical structure. Bow leg, flat foot, locked knees, rounded shoulder, rounded pelvis. According I have to devise my posture or my practice. So those days, if the people from Germany, most of them have flat foot because wearing shoes for 24 hours, 365 days, even maybe even in sleeping they might be having shoes. So that takes out the arch of the foot, they were flat. So when the person is flat, they can't get the balance. So they have to lift the toes so that they get the arch. So that's why they used to lift the toes. That was the clue. Not for everyone. We all used to lift.
So you feel it's very individualized.
Yes.
And
even the teacher should be very sharp to watch. Oh, even in my class, even today I said, if you have a bad foot, flat foot, lift your toes. If your knees are touching each other, feet apart. If you have stiff legs apart. If you have knee pain, feet apart. So hip problem, yes, all the postures we have to see according to their structure. Then physiological conditions. For example, if a person has a acid reflux, if he goes on doing twisting and a backward bend, the acid may increase, hyperacidity. So if you are constipated, if you go on doing a forward bend, it becomes worse. So they should know how to stretch the abdominal muscle instead of bending forward. A supported backward bend may help them. If your body is very hot, and if it's a summer, for example, in India, in summer like April, May, June, so hot, if you go on doing sun salutation and a backward bend, you feel dizzy. The bile will increase. They feel like nausea. So that may not help. So we have to plan according to our condition. So the day when we get up, what type of body or physiological condition we have? Do I have gas? Do I have acidity? Do I have phlegm? Morning.
Right.
I plan. 10:30. I know. Now I have a class at 10:30. I know what most of them will be having a good breakfast. May not be just oatmeal. They might be having a big breakfast. Then I should know what to teach them because I should not disturb the digestion. Evening, people come from the office. So then I should know what to give them. So all the classes, when all the structure sequencing takes place in a day. So even the gas acidity changes from morning to night. So I plan, or anyone who practices, they have to plan like this. Not monotonous, boring. Yoga should not be boring. That's why, coming to that point, people get bored of the same thing. They want to give everywhere something new. That's why they introduce chanting. That's why they introduce kirtan. That's why they introduce some other things, so that every time it looks new. They want new every time. For me, from practicing from 40 years, I don't feel like changing my subject from other teachers. My teacher is always Guruji's family.
I think it's organic. And I think that's why some practices that are set, like a set sequence every time, it might be not for everyone because the body is different.
Understanding is different, the skill is different. They may not be able to understand. Each individual is different.
Yeah.
So how can we humiliate any other person? Hey, you're not understanding. No, you may not be. So everyone is different. Like my fingers, all are different.
Is there anything else you would like to say?
That's it, I think.
I know you answered one of my biggest questions. I had to travel very far, so I definitely can't wait though to see you in California. So
April
people
10th,
need
11th,
to
12th,
know
LA.
Many more people need to know and take your class, and I want to have you autograph your book that I'm going to get. Will you do that? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.